What is the purpose of you writing The Muted Cage?
Well, The Muted Cage is part of my story. And at the same time, it's not just about my story as a victim, but it's a part of my story as a survivor and continually overcoming the effects of abuse. It's also an opportunity to let people in so that they can get a little understanding, because I'm giving it from my perspective, and every victim is different. Every victim has their own experience. So based on my experience and perspective and perception, just to give an insight of things that go on in the life of a victim. How sometimes we may be manifesting a certain behavior and people may not understand it because they do not know what we've been through. So it's an opportunity even for people who have never had to deal with abuse, and it's very foreign to them. For instance, my youngest sister, she's 5 years younger than I am, and she never experienced sexual abuse. So when I communicated that to her, I actually did it because she had a daughter in the same home where we were living with my stepdad, which is right here. I had to come back home to deal with certain things that I needed to heal. And that has been a journey. Anyway, back to the book. It is an opportunity for people to understand the different behaviors we display. And sometimes we're not even intentional about these things. It's just that we have triggers that will make us behave a certain way. And I'm not saying we're not responsible for our actions. I'm not excusing or condoning, but I'm saying that certain things affects us, and therefore we manifest behaviors that people don't expect, that people might deem improper or a misbehavior. And I give an opportunity for people to see there is more to a person, and for us not to be so quick to judge. Of course, our first intent is to judge what we see, but we can always pull back and say, wait, maybe there is more to this story.
And so your voice fluctuates if anybody meets you. And what do you think the fluctuation in your voice is?
According to the doctors, there is nothing in my vocal cords that would indicate any disease or illness. According to my psychiatrists and psychologists and counselors, it is due to trauma. I had my voice perfect until 2006. All of a sudden, I started losing my voice in August of 2006, and by November, I had no voice at all. And that continued for about a year and a half. And people kept telling me to just write. Don't talk, don't try to talk. But inside of me, I just knew that if I stayed silent, it would have been detrimental for me to recover at least some of my voice. I actually went back to my ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he showed me the first interview. And I was traumatized by what I saw, because we are in ourselves, and it's very different when somebody's looking at you from the outside. So sometimes I would even leave messages on my phone just so that I can hear myself, because we think that we are listening and hearing, but we're not. The same thing with the behaviors. We think we know we are doing something a certain way, but on the outside, it looks different because of our perception. So I decided that I was gonna continue talking, and I recovered a lot of my voice in comparison to how it was. I think I even had an incident incident with David Christian where he did an interview. And it was so funny to me because already my voice was really nothing like this. This is like 75% better than that when I did that interview. And he said, say hello. And I said hello, and he couldn't hear anything. And he's like, oh boy, like we're in trouble. And then he realized he had not turned on the mic. So I was like, okay, so maybe it's not going to be a bad interview after all. And it was great. People were able to understand what I was saying.
And so you're back into the home where your sexual abuse started.
It started when I was
in Shepherd.
Shepherd Project, yes.
And how old were you when the abuse started?
I remember as early as 3 years old. And that was over at Shepherd Project. I don't remember what was done to me. I just know that he would take me off my bed, put me on the floor, and I don't know what happened after that. I was too young. We moved over here when I was 7. So now I had a little more awareness, more consciousness of what was going on. And I really don't like to openly discuss details about the sexual abuse for many reasons, but mainly because sometimes people that have issues with sexual behaviors might take it the wrong way. So I do open up myself when I do talks and speak to victims because they understand what we have been through. But yes, it happened here. And one of the incidents that I always share, because it was one of the most traumatic things for me, was when my mother walked in. She was at the neighbors next door. She walked in and I was in the bedroom fighting with my stepfather, where he was pulling down and I'm pulling up my clothes and my pants, and she just walked in and he ran to the window pretending that he was closing the window. And my mom turned on the light and she kept walking closer to me, closer. When she pulled my sheet, she saw that my pants was halfway down and she went crazy. It's like I saw my mom and I knew it was gonna get real bad because her face completely changed. She slapped me so hard, I fell to the floor. She dragged me by my hair and brought me right here to the living room. And she started questioning me about, what happened? And I really didn't want to tell my mom. First of all, she was physically abusive. She was bipolar, manic depressive. And when she got angry and something negative happened, it would get really bad for us. So
you think that she was mad at you and never really spoke to her husband, who's your stepfather, about his part in the incidences?
I think she was just mad at the situation, finding that there is a possibility, because she wasn't 100% sure of what was going on. So she brought me out here and she asked me what happened. And I was looking at my mom and I didn't want to tell her. And so I told her, well, you told me when you sent me from the neighbor's home, you told me that I better be asleep when you get home or I would get beat. So I was in the bathroom, heard the door, ran to my bed, never had the opportunity to pull up my pants. And she said, are you sure? And all of a sudden it's like my chest just wanted to burst. I couldn't help it. So I said, no, that's not the truth. I was fighting with him. He was pulling my pants down and I was pulling my pants up, and you walked in. And she just shook me and her eyes got really big. And she just shook me and she said, is this the truth? Are you telling me the truth? And I'm like, yes, Mom. And I'm bawling. She runs to the bedroom to talk to him. I couldn't hear what they're saying because all I'm thinking about is how hard my mom used to beat us and how bad things used to get. So all I'm hoping is that somehow this is going to get fixed. Well, he told her, this is what she told me, that I was lying, I was a liar and a troublemaker, and that he was going to leave because I was lying on him. So she came back, She hit me and she was like, tell me the truth. And I'm like, I'm telling you the truth. That's what happened. And it's not the first time. He's always doing stuff to me. And she started screaming and went back in the room. Next thing I know, she came back. He's leaving. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? You want him to leave? And I said, Mom, no. I don't want Daddy to leave. I just want Daddy to stop. That's all I want, for him to stop. He came in a bag filled with clothes, walked out, and before closing the door, he said, tomorrow I'll send for my stuff. He walked out, and my mom dragged me to her bedroom and beat the heck out of me. She slapped me, she kicked me, then she threw me on the bed, she jumped on me, and she tried to strangle me. When I felt my eyes rolling back, she let go. I don't know if she saw my eyes. I just know that it's only by the mercy and grace of God that I am here today. And I asked her if I could go to my bedroom, and she said, no, you're gonna stay here. So here meant I was gonna sleep on the bed with her. So now I couldn't even cry, even though I felt broken. I felt devastated because this was my mom. The only love I ever wanted was my mother's love, nothing else. And there were many times where I felt her love intensely and intently. But there were other times where she was like distant. She would be angry and I didn't know why. So I'm on the bed and she says, tomorrow we are going to your grandmother and you are gonna tell her what you say her son did to you. And if she dies, it's your fault because you know that she has a heart condition. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to go. I don't want to tell Grandma because she is gonna die because it is the truth. So she told me, just go to sleep. So I'm there trying to control my sobs and whatever because I didn't want her to hit me again. I had had enough. She really hit me that day. It actually took 3 days before we can walk to Glen, to my grandmother's house. And all the way through, I'm crying and I'm telling my mom, I don't want to tell Grandma. I don't want to tell Grandma. I don't want to have to tell Grandma this thing. I really don't. And she was just not talking to me, and my sisters were not talking to me because we knew how it was. If we get involved in something, we're all getting beat. And my mom would beat us on the street. It didn't matter. So got to my grandmother's house, and I stayed at the porch. And that's a no-no, because usually Hispanics, we go and we greet, bendición, kisses, hugs. But that day I was like, I can't do this. I can't even look at my grandma. About half an hour later, my mom calls me to come to the kitchen to talk to my grandma. And I started bawling, Mom, please don't make me tell her. And my mom asked me, tell your grandma how long your dad has been gone. And I said, 3 days. And she said, okay, get out. Go back out there. Go back. Get out of the kitchen. And I saw that my grandma was crying. My mom was crying. But that was it. We came home. And then at night, he showed up with his bag filled with the clothes that he had taken. Nobody said anything to me. Nobody explained anything to me. Nobody apologized to me. Nothing. So I determined for myself and my safety that from now on he could do whatever he wanted to me because I already got a beating. My mother almost killed me. And I was not about to go through this again. I couldn't. So then he did whatever he wanted. He had free reign to do whatever he wanted to do. And that was how I was living my life, making sure that he would not touch my sisters. So, and sometimes he used to use that against me. He had 2 threats against me. One of them was that he would show me a gun that he had, and he would tell me that he was gonna go and kill my mom and my siblings and not kill me because the police was gonna take him to jail. And then they were gonna take him, at the time we had a psychiatric ward at Charles H. Howard Memorial Hospital. We had a ward there. So he told me that he had had an accident where he hit his head and had been locked up there for some time. So now that this was something he was going to use, and they were going to let him go because they would understand he was crazy, and he was going to come back and get me. And he had that threat. The second threat was that if I didn't let him do whatever he wanted to do to me, he would take my sisters and do stuff to them. And to me, it was like, well, he's already doing what he wants to do to me. I'm not going to let him touch my sisters. Now, for a very long time, I was tormented as a grown-up, wondering if all the sacrifice that I did to keep my sisters safe were in vain. Did he touch my sisters after he stopped messing with me? You know, did he ever did anything to them?
When did the abuse stop?
When I finally had my period. I remember my mom sent me for something in her bedroom and he was there. And I guess he heard her and he grabbed me. And I said, no, mommy's calling me. Leave me alone. And he grabbed me really hard, kissed me on my mouth, and he said, not anymore. You are a big girl now. And that was it.
So do you think that in his sickness, he liked little girls, or he stopped abusing you because in fear that you may get pregnant?
I think he was in fear that now that I had my period, I could get pregnant. Because that phrase, now you are a big girl, that is what it would imply. I never knew him to molest any other girls. I don't know. But I never found out about that. But he was a womanizer. He had a lot of lady friends. And that was an issue my mom had to deal with. So, back to where I was. Where was I? Oh, that he stopped. So I was always wondering, but I asked my sisters and they both said no. And even to the point where my sister, you know, I had told her about the book, but then, or I told her about my story, but then this has so many more details because I really wrote this book initially wanting to heal, wanting to empty myself, because the silence was so bad. It was too much for me. And I really didn't want to damage my family, my siblings. I was the only one with a different father.
Do you think that growing up they knew what was occurring?
I think my brother had a little bit of an incline, but he and my stepfather didn't really, his father, they didn't really get along. They had a lot of conflict. So he would go and stay at our grandmother's most of the time. But my sisters, I don't know how they never encountered the stuff that was happening, because we slept in the same room most of the time. So, but they were younger. I don't know, my sister is 3 years younger than I am, and the other one is 5 years younger than I am. And this was happening to me as I was very young. So even if they might have seen something, might not have understood it. I don't know, but when I told them, they were surprised. My youngest sister was so surprised, she was traumatized, that she blocked it out. It was like, this is my daddy, and he never did anything to me. And I was like, I'm just telling you because you have a daughter in the same home. And you should not let him be around her when they're alone. Don't. So it wasn't until later on, when I was planning to publish the book, that I gave her a manuscript and she read it, and I didn't really get a reaction from her. My other sister was like, she just couldn't deal with it. It's like, whatever, it happened, whatever. It's like, she even said at one point it wasn't a big deal. You know, like, it's so long ago. It's so old. again, we do not think about the consequences of what trauma does to a person. It may seem sometimes that we are very functional. I was, and most time I had to be. I was an A student in school, not because I was brilliant, even though, according to my teachers, I were. But I had to. I had to be proper. I had to behave. My mom couldn't get a call about me misbehaving in school because I would get whooped in school. I would. And I knew that. And a whooping in school didn't mean you get spanked. I mean a whooping. So this is one of the things that I tell people, because sometimes we're looking for the child that is acting up, that is showing bad behavior or classified bad behavior, or has some kind of mental disability showing up. And we may think that these are the kids that are really a telltale of abuse. Not necessarily, because I really had good grades, but I had to. I really behaved, but I had to. I had to do everything correct because that is what my mother expected. I was the oldest. So I was responsible for everything that went on in this house. And I was responsible for what happened, even with my brothers and sisters in school. There was one instance we used to catch the bus, my brother and my sister. And my sister decided she was going with a friend and caught the first bus. I'm looking for her, so I missed the first bus. My brother's waiting where he knew he had to wait. I'm coming down here crying because I don't have my sister. And I know I'm responsible. As we're coming down, my mom is like 2 streets over talking to her friends and whatever, shortcut. And I asked, Mom, where is my sister? I said her name. And it's like, where is my sister? And she's like, what do you mean? You're supposed to be having her? Well, my mom just grabbed me by my hair and made me feel like I was in a tornado. She just spun me and threw me on the ground. And she said, find my daughter now. My sister had decided to come on the first bus and go into a friend's home right at the shanty, and she was there playing, but I was responsible for my sister. So, and that was the kind of stuff. So when we're looking for telltale, sometimes an overachiever is somebody to look at. Somebody who feels that they always have to do things right, and it's never good enough, and it has to be perfect. There is a reason behind that, right? And I was very withdrawn, but at the same time, when I had to participate, I was full in. So you might have this duality going on where you can be very shy, very reserved, and then one minute you're that way, the other minute you're just the life of the party. So for me, it's very difficult if you don't have intuition, like if you're not really big into intuition, you can miss a child that is really being abused.
Do you think that at the time when your abuse was occurring that people were educated enough to assist you, or you felt that they weren't educated enough that you couldn't come to them? And how, fast forward, we're here now, do we think we're doing a good job at educating people in our schools and in our community?
Back then, I don't think we had enough exposure. I think help has always been offered, but we didn't have the exposure, and also we didn't feel comfortable enough. We always thought the only scenario is that if I tell the police is gonna come take somebody in the home, they're gonna put me in somebody else's home, and I'm going to lose my family. Woman, they're gonna arrest my husband, I'm gonna lose my source of income. There is no help, there is nowhere I can go. if his family is my support or her family is my support, I am going to lose that because now I affected and did something wrong to their family member. And I was maybe 9 years old when I spoke to two different ladies, and I spoke to them because I wanted somebody to hear me. My mom couldn't hear me. And I didn't want them to go get the police. I didn't want them to really do anything but just give me an opportunity to say something. And the only thing I said was, Daddy's doing stuff to me. He's doing bad stuff to me, you know. And one lady said, that happens to a lot of us. We just don't talk about that kind of stuff. And the other one said, you better not be saying that kind of stuff, because if your mother finds out, she's going to hurt you real bad. So that was like tape on my mouth. You don't talk about these things. Remember, you're going to get hurt. The other one, it has happened to many of us. And it's okay. We just don't talk about it. So back then, I don't think the woman felt or had enough exposure to the resources available. And I don't think that the resources were as much as it is now. Because now you have, for instance, Women's Coalition, you have DVSAT, you have so many groups that are for women, you know, and we will stand with you and we will support you. Before it was like, you're almost shunned because you don't talk about these things. But now I think we are doing a great job. I'm not too sure how much is being done in the schools. I know that they do go. But I think we have to have something that is included maybe in the curriculum about self-esteem, about how do you take care of yourself? Why do you take care of yourself? Why do you respect yourself? How to do that? Because, you know, we can tell a young lady, you need to respect yourself. Yeah, right. What does that mean? Right? So I think we have to break down. One of the things I've noticed in dealing with children the past 3 years is that a lot of them do not process the next step. If I do this, this is gonna happen. You give them a scenario, and they don't know how to follow it through to give you a conclusion. And it's a lot that we have the technology helping us. So you need to know something, you Google it. You don't have to think about it. You just find the answer. And I think that has hindered. It's not a bad thing to have technology, but I think we still need to be able to keep our minds trained to process so that we get understanding. And sometimes by adding this to the curriculum, then it's something that you are working on every day. I'm like I was saying earlier, it's like I'm wondering how I can help to do something more, because it hurts. It really hurts. It makes me really sad that so many children are not reading at their grade level. They're not spelling at their grade level. And they move on to the next grade. They get to 12th grade and they might know how to read, but it's a limited thing. It's not to the best of their abilities, is what I'm saying. So how do we really help these kids? And I think one of the things that they need to really work on is helping them with their self-esteem. If they learn to respect and love themselves, then it's easier for them to say no. And I'm gonna tell my mom, or I'm gonna tell my teacher, I'm gonna tell someone that you're doing something because you're not supposed to. You know, but I think it's our job that to improve every time we do something, that we improve. And my thing is, let's break it down to the bone. Don't say you need better self-esteem. This is how we get better self-esteem. This is how we work at it. I mean, I have to work on my self-esteem every day. because from the consequences of the trauma I suffered, I suffered very severe depression. So thank God that I've come a long way, but I would never tell anyone, oh, you just get rid of it. You just read 3 books and you're done. Read my book and it's the medicine. Never, because I'm still dealing. As a matter of fact, I'm writing a second muted cage that is going to be dealing with the depression because I went through really dark times where I wanted to commit suicide, where I prayed for God to just take my life. I couldn't cope. I couldn't see outside of this cage. All I saw was the darkness within the cage. And although the gate of the cage was open, I couldn't get out. And that is what happened to so many of us. Yes, we go to work. We perform because we have to. We have to support our children. We have to support our families. We have to be strong for other people. But inside, we are crumbling. We are dying slowly. And it's one of the events, or 2 of the events I did, I actually brought in a t-shirt that has all these words: devastated, rocked, broken, destroyed, sad, angry, stop. Because that is the outfit that I wear within myself. Those scars are there. People will want to tell you, you will forget. You won't. You won't. People will want to tell you, get over it. You won't. You overcome. But those scars are there, and every now and then, those scars all of a sudden get irritated by something, and you fall into that depression again. Different levels. It doesn't mean it is the darkest moment of your life again. But there are different levels of depression that we go through. And so I work on my self-esteem every day. I have to tell myself these positive things. I speak positively. I sleep with with a playlist where I have the I am awesome, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am a thinker, I am a believer. I mean, all these things that I have to tell myself, I am worthy, because aside from the sexual abuse, which was very devastating to me because it made me feel really dirty, it made me feel guilty, it made me feel so filled with shame. Like I was the one doing this to myself, right? And I didn't have anybody that could tell me, it's not your fault. It's okay. Listen, I know how you feel, I understand, or maybe I don't understand, but it's okay to feel that way, but let's work on that. I didn't have anybody that did that for me. Now we have all these people that go to the schools, that go into the homes, that prepare all these events in hopes that people will get the courage to step out and go. Now, that again is a very difficult thing because people do not want to be identified as a victim. They don't want to be identified with sexual abuse or physical abuse or rape. They don't want to be identified. And the thing with me is that I was one of these people where I don't want to be associated with none of that stuff because people look at you like you are not just a victim, but you're a bad person because this happened to you. It's your fault. And already I was dealing with blaming myself. What did I do? Is it because my mom used to buy me these short pants and back out? Is it because I really used to dance a whole lot?
We're going into like 40 minutes now. So.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna have to, cause I have to do the story for tonight's news. We have to go into. You have the emotional effects, but you once told me about the physical effects to your body as well from all the abuse.
Yes.
Okay, so Miss Milagros, you spoke about the emotional effects on yourself, but also from years of having abuse, sustaining abuse. What are also some of the things that's been taken away from you and has been adverse effects of the abuse?
Well, one of the things, and I think it was one of the things that really delved me deeply into depression, is that at 28 years old, I had to have a full hysterectomy. So I lost my illusion of having 12 children because that was my dream since I was maybe 10 years old. I want to have 12 kids that I am going to show them how kids should be loved. Because I guess looking for that love for myself, I wanted to be able to give it to someone. Also from the physical abuse. I had my tailbone broken when I was 15 years old. My mom beat me with the leg of a dining table and broke my tailbone. Never got it treated. So it healed crooked. Left me with my hips being 1.5 inches off. So I could be sitting at any point and try to get up, and it's not going to happen. Or I'm limping for months at a time. Sometimes I bend a certain way and I can't straighten up. And it's not something that happens frequently, but it happens out of nowhere. And again, physical depression, nervousness, insomnia. It's like that's one of the hardest things that I've dealt with because it makes you very exhausted when you don't sleep well, when you have these flashbacks, you have these nightmares. So it's a lot of stuff that happens to the body when you go through all these different abuse. So I was working, for instance, and I would be drinking my tears because I would be in such pain. But I wanted to work because I was still living here at home with my mom, and she would not let me move out until I got married. I don't know why. My two sisters went away and they did what they wanted, but my mother had this hold over me because my mother was the love of my life, and she was the only thing I really wanted. I wanted my mother's love, and so I would do whatever she wanted me to do. So not only did I suffer with the sexual abuse and physical abuse, there was also emotional and mental abuse besides the verbal abuse, where she would manipulate what I did and how I did because she always wanted to have me attached to her. Maybe because I was so eager to want her love and so eager for her to love me back that I would do everything she wanted me to do. I worked my first 4 years and I never saw a check. I used to sign it over to my mom and that was it, 4 years. And to me that was okay because I was helping my mom. I did not have a hint of what independence was. If you called me on the phone, of course, those times we had to hold the phone, right? So if you call me on the phone, my mom would stand right next to me listening to what you're saying, and if she couldn't hear exactly what you said, she would listen to my response, and I'm still talking to you, but she's asking, why did you say that? Why are you telling that person that? Who is that, right? Or we are at church, and she would say, yes, you can go with this person to do this. There is this activity, there is that outing, you can go. I come home, you cannot go. So then, maybe an hour before the time, it's like, Mom, can I go? No. So then I'm calling the person to let them know I cannot go, right? At church, they thought I was gay because I didn't have boyfriends. Most of the girls had boyfriends, but I was not allowed to even mention the word boyfriend. and sex was completely out of the question. You don't use that word. So again, people misjudge and label you just because they don't understand what you're going through. So one of the reasons why I speak and I speak as freely as I can is because I want people to understand, there are so many people out there that are experiencing trauma. It might not have happened yesterday. It might not have happened 5 years ago, but it happened to me. I'm 56 years now, and it happened to me at least from the time I was 3 years old to 12 years old. So, and it has affected everything in my life. The physical abuse, it started at least when I was 1 year old, when my mother burned my hand, until I was 20 years old, when she gave me a beating right up the street because I wasn't home to pick her up when she called. I was running an errand that she set up for me to do. But that is how her psyche was. But it affects me even today. So don't look at people and just take it at face value. If you're interested in a person, whether as a friendship or even because you care, and you see that there is some kind of behavior with a child, a teenage, a man, a woman, try to figure out, ask questions. They might be willing, they might be waiting for you to ask them a question so that they can take this thing out of them and be able to express. They need somebody to listen. Instead of being quick to judge and speak, ask a question and listen. You might be surprised what this person has lived, what they have endured, and not being able to reach out for help, because the help can be there. But sometimes we are not able. Our psyche at the moment does not allow us to go get that help. It's almost like you are trapped within yourself. You are in there and you want help and you're screaming for help. But that depression, that pain, that trauma is bigger than you. And it kind of suffocates you in there. And you're trying to get out and you can't. So a lot of people say they don't want help. They ain't want no help. You don't know that. They may not be able to get help. They may not know how to get out of that cage. They may not know how to go and reach for help. But sometimes by asking a question, you gave the person the opportunity to use that key to just say, you know what? This is what's happening to me. This is what's happening to me, and this is what I'm going through. So let's not be quick to judge.
So at this time, I'm on a stage doing natural stuff. If you allow me to, I'll come and sit right next to you, and then we could look like you're reading the book or going through the book.
So are you just gonna take pictures, or are you going to record?
It's recording.
Okay, so can I read this poem? I wrote this poem when I was 17 years old. And it's called I Am.
Okay.
Okay? Let me know when you're ready.
I am.
Okay. So I'm gonna read this book this poem that is at the end of my book. And it's a poem that I wrote when I was 17 years old. It's called I Am. I first saw her in my thoughts. She was 4 years old. The girl was in a dark room, encircled by fear and loneliness. Her cry was heartbreaking. Her expression was lost between sadness and tears. The only brightness present was her pretty white ruffled dress. Her hands were reaching out, seeking protection and warmth. She pleaded as though wanting to be picked up. I then saw her in my dreams. The girl was now older. This time, no tears, no cry. She said nothing. There were no spoken words, only silence. Her big, dark brown eyes only stared at me. She sat by the corner of my bed, contemplating my unconsciousness as I slept, as though wanting to touch me. Later, I saw her through the corner of my eye, hiding every time I turned. She was older than before and quite shy, hiding behind every wall. I felt no fear because it was all familiar feeling to me, of some sort part of my life. I couldn't really see her every time. I only got a glimpse of her, but I could sense her as though having something to say. But her voice was trapped by fear. I saw her again. She was now a woman, all grown, slender, with an elegant confidence and strength. Her skin was like soft chocolate, unstained. She was perfect, but this time I was scared because I realized that she was entirely naked. She was truth, and she was ready to reveal herself to me. Today, it was face to face. Her eyes locked with mine. They read, brave. We didn't move. We didn't talk. We were paralyzed. She stared without a blink, as though wanting to show me. When I first saw her, her sadness concerned me. When I saw her again, her silence puzzled me. When I saw her later, her hiding confused me. When I saw her face to face, her stare awoke me. All of a sudden, reality struck me. It was I. She was me, my inner being, bringing me face to face with the truth, the revelation of what had been buried and hidden away. It was hidden so deep, I had forgotten a part of me. But through her eyes, I remembered. I remembered me. Now I cried because I found the stronger part of me. I wish I could cry for joy, but they were painful memories. But I cried with relief because now I knew who I am and why. I am my yesterday, my today, and my tomorrow. And that's the last pages of my book, The Muted Cage.
Just, I guess I'll just have you do some. I need you to do some natural stuff.
You wanna go outside? I sit every day by my mom's, the only rose bush that is left, the only plant, the only living thing.
She gardened a lot.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes.
And our friend is outside waiting for us. The puppy.
Oh, he's in the back.
Oh,
We're going in front.
Where did I do him? Oh, there he goes.